Okay, welcome to the subject of mean. I'm Jeff Smith. I'm the moderator. I'm obviously not there, but what do? This is the 5th time I've attempted to record this, so hopefully this one goes well and I can keep it. Anyway, mean is the subject we are going to present to our students. And looking at the standard itself, it's a 5th grade standard. But it's it's a subject matter that will get repeated through the students in pre-algebra and algebra 1, getting a little more complex each time they see it, but nonetheless it's introduced at 5th grade. And the standard is pretty basic: to know and use the definition of mean. So the first part of that is just seeing the definition and knowing what it is. It's the sum of all the data divided by however many data points there were. Now in parentheses I put the term numbers because you are dealing with 5th graders, so even though it's a simple word, data and data points may be confusing to the students, but when they see maybe the numbers, the sum of all the numbers divided by however many numbers there were, they may have a better understanding of that. Also, another term to throw in there and present to them is average, because mean is also known as average. It's the average of all the numbers. So it starts to get them to think about, oh, I've seen that before, I've at least heard that before. And one concept we want them to take away is that the mean is not just the middle number. It's a common mistake made by students and also adults, but mean is not just the middle number of a whole set of data. It's actually the sum of them divided out by however many there were. So that's one thing we want the students to take away, is not only what the mean is, but what it is not. And it's not just the middle number. Now, the lesson intro itself, we want to tap into some prior knowledge and some things they may have seen before and not necessarily understood what it was, but the fact that it actually is mean. First, test scores, test percents. They've all taken tests and quizzes at this point, and maybe have had a grade figured out, and they're not quite sure where that overall grade comes from, and it's actually the mean or the average of all their scores. So we can present that to them and tell them that this is one piece where mean is used, and we're going to show them how to figure that out. Also, batting averages. Most of the students seen or followed baseball, softball, whatever the case may be, so we can show them that batting average is actually a mean and what you can do to figure that out, because some at this point really may not understand that concept. Now, one question that will be presented to the students and we want them to think about throughout the lesson is everyday examples where they may have run into mean before. So throughout the lesson we want them to think about that, because at the end of the lesson I'm going to ask for some examples of their own where they may have seen mean, and we can talk about whether it is or is not mean, just to help to get them to think about something beyond just the math book itself. Now, the question at hand is, how do we actually figure out the mean for a set of data? And that's what the lesson itself is. Now, I'll show you kind of what the lesson would look like, but first just want to go through it. And the basics of it are, we'll bring up 5 students, get the 5 students, have their heights measured, and we'll do that with 5 other students who will actually measure them. Then we'll have 5 more students record their height on the board, because these are 5th graders, so having them sit at their desk isn't exactly the best plan. So try to get them up, moving around. And of course they are 5th graders, so this simple process, because there's 15 students out there, could take up to 2 days. But once the heights are recorded, then we'll figure out the mean of those, the mean height of those 5 students as an example. We'll go through it as a class, and then we'd actually repeat that one more time, maybe adding a 6th student or taking 1 student away, so to switch up the mean and what you're dividing by to see if the students pick up on that. And once we did that second example, the students would actually work on their own independently, and the teacher would just walk around, check to make sure they're doing everything properly and okay. So if we were to actually look at what the mean lesson would look like, we would have our 15 little students up there, the 5 at the board for recording the heights, and the 5 in front for getting their heights measured, and the 5 next to them to actually measure the height. So these little 5 students in front would all get their heights measured, and these guys right here, or girls right here, would all record back to them, so they could actually write the numbers on the board. Send all the kids back to their desks, and then once we do that, so we have our 5 heights recorded on the board. Let's say we measured the heights of the students at 48 inches, 50 inches, 47, 52, and 51. Now we just go through a basic example of saying, all right, how many numbers are there actually in front of us? And you have the kids go through, there's 3, 4, okay, there are 5 total numbers. So that is what we will divide by. Now we need to find the sum of all the measurements we took. So adding them all up, we get a total of 248. We are dividing by the 5 total students that we had up there, and we get a mean of 49.6 inches. And again, just re-explaining to the kids that that is the average height of those 5 students. And again, one more time, we would just call up a new set of 15 kids at random, and just to get more kids involved, and we'd have them measure the heights of 5 more students, and then put the numbers on the board again, but then the students themselves would actually work independently in this case, and the teacher would go around just to make sure they're doing some independent work and they actually understand the concept, and we go through the example again on the board after they've had a few minutes to work. But that's the lesson itself when we talk about mean, and I'm going to turn it over to the rest of my team. Thank you very much for your time.